up? How's everybody doing? Welcome back to Underdogs. I'm excited because today I get to introduce you to Eddie Levin. Eddie, say hello to the people.
Hello, everybody. Nice to be here in front of you.
Very good. So, Eddie, we met a little bit ago. It's been a couple years now, and it's been a pleasure to get to know you. But I'm I'm more interested in the world getting to know you so that they can figure out who is this guy. Who's this fun personality? This always got a smile, a little bit shy, but always has a smile on his face. So I'm excited for the viewers to get to know a little bit more about you. Can you start off? Tell us where are you from originally?
I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana, Dan.
Now, did I say that right? Nolans.
Well,
How do you say it? Or did you lose the accent, or
no,
what
I
do you think?
haven't. I haven't lost the accent. A lot of people that I've talked to, they say, "Is it pronounced Narlands?" And I didn't hear that very much in New Orleans. What I heard was like I say it, which is New Orleans.
New Orleans. Okay. Well, I guess I've been right my whole life. That's that's very rare. So, what was it like growing up there?
Well, I think it was very different. The culture of the city was unique. The Mardi Gras, the food, the influence of the French on the city. It's a big city, so there's lots of different flavors. But excuse me, I always thought it was so unique, and it makes people that are born there and raised there, in my opinion, it makes you feel really proud of the city, and it's something that I always felt really good about. That when I could tell people I'm from New Orleans, I thought it was unique and special.
That's awesome. So, what was your home life like? Growing up, what did that look like?
Well, it was also very unique. I was born in Tulane, excuse me, not Tulane, in Touro Hospital, which is one of the major hospitals downtown New Orleans. And my mother and father divorced when I was born. My father left, and I hardly ever saw him. I saw him like two or three times after I turned age 20, but never before that. My mother was, she lived in the back of my grandfather's house in a very small, what you would call a tiny house today. It probably wasn't only about 300 square feet. I remember it pretty clearly, even though I was just one, two, and maybe 3 years old at the most living there. My mother had a nervous breakdown when I was three. Uh, the doctors did an experimental operation on her called a lobotomy. Most people know what that is, brain operation. It was a total failure. They removed part of her brain. She became paralyzed and mentally ill since then, and she spent the rest of her time until age 84 in a wheelchair and also in a sanitarium.
Wow. Um, no, I try to imagine just a piece of that. Not everybody's shared that story before. You know what I mean?
It's unique.
So with a dad that wasn't really in the picture, he's kind of gone, and having mom dealing with some major situations there.
Yes.
She was having to battle through quite a bit.
Yes.
Um, what was home life like then?
Well, I had one sibling. He was a brother, a year and a half older than I was, and we became very close at a very early age. When I was three, or both of us, we went to foster homes. And so my home life was with 12 different foster homes until I was age 18. I was in mostly transient, low income homes. I lived in the housing projects in New Orleans, some rough neighborhoods. It shaped my personality. But I was thankful to have foster homes, with the exception of a few where at age maybe 4 or 5, I started to get beaten by some of the people that I stayed with, and it made me very sad and wondered about, was life worth living? And somehow or another, the good Lord found me and rescued me. And so I was also fortunate that He brought a good social worker to me. He took me out of the bad homes once he would find out that I was in one and that they were beating me. I was not sexually abused, but I was physically abused and mentally abused. So I went from home to home, and that was a very different upbringing. But I don't blame any of my circumstances on that upbringing because there were a lot of positives that came out of it. I tried to turn the adversity into opportunity and also into my own happiness. I guess it was a defense mechanism for me, but it shaped my personality. So I wanted to have a little self esteem. When I went to school, I tried to make good grades. I was fortunate that I did make very good grades throughout grammar school, junior high, and high school. I made almost straight A's. And not to pat me on the back, I'm just saying that that background gave me some motivation to want to have some achievement in my life and some self esteem. The other thing that it did was create some motivation in me to be athletic as best as I could be and to try to excel in different sports. And I was fortunate that I always had sports that I loved and uh, felt like I had some skills enough to make me feel good about it. And so I played a lot of football, a lot of basketball, you name it. I enjoyed almost all team sports primarily.
That's awesome. Now, growing up, um, I mean, we just covered a lot. Like, there's a span of time there. Um, did your brother get to come with you? Like, were you at the same foster home, or did you have to get split up?
We were split up, and we didn't like that. But I had an uncle that took him in, an uncle and an aunt. They let him live with them. I think my uncle thought he was the father of my brother, so that is what it is. But I was on my own, and so I went to different homes. Excuse me. He was always there. My brother was always there to call me, even though he was just a young fella. At age 6, he started taking care of me like he was my father and I was his son, and he would defend me if we were going to have an altercation. He was there for me, and he really treated me as a little brother, but also like a dad. And then the people that the aunt and uncle that he lived with, the aunt was not real stable mentally. She convinced the doctors to give him shock treatments. They did many of them on him. It dulled his brain. It affected him dramatically. And so, about age 11 for him and maybe 10 for me, we did a role reversal, unknowing what we were actually doing. But the reversal was I became like the father looking after him, and he became like my son. And I always looked after him and supported him from the time I was in high school till the day he died, which was about 5 years ago. We were very close.
Yeah, I'm definitely sorry for that
Thank
loss.
you. Thank you.
Um, it's amazing the resilience, though, of what adversity will do.
Yes, it is.
And you hear these terms like fight or flight. You hear these terms when in these pieces of life that people go through where you're dealing with situations where your back's against the wall. You can either step up or step out.
Makes you weaker or stronger. And I think that looking back in my own life, I feel like it made me stronger. And I credit the Lord for helping me along with that.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. So if you could say out of growing up like that, because a lot of times those formative years are what really defines and molds us into who we are today. Like you've lived a life where you've had those chances to fight or flight, and you've chosen to fight back every time, you and your brother.
Yes.
So what a beautiful thing. I'm
Thank you.
just wondering, what are some of the biggest challenges that you have faced in your life, and how have you overcome them?
Well, I appreciate the question. When I was in high school, I worried about one, would I ever find a partner, a wife, and that's partner to me. But Anyway, I wondered if I would ever find a woman to live with the rest of my life. And I also worried about whether I'd ever find an occupation that I would enjoy. And I felt like I did not want to have those years after high school that I would be unhappy. So it was really important to me to think forward of those things, but I didn't know how to deal with it. So I did have a high school that really promoted going to college. So I knew college was an ambition that I had, and I was fortunate that, uh, well, going back just for a minute, at age 18, 2 weeks before I graduated from high school, my foster father, who I'd had some problems with, walked into my bedroom and he said, 2 weeks from now, you graduate, and you graduate on a Friday, and I want you out on Monday. And so he literally kicked me out of the house. I didn't have a dime of savings and nowhere to live. No family that would take me in. I did have some family, but none that were interested in having, housing me. So I went to work offshore and made enough money to during the summer to pay my tuition and books at LSU for the year. And so all of a sudden I had a little security because I paid tuition, books, and a 7 day a week meal plan, all the milk you could drink. And I thought that was a blissful life, at least somewhat. And so that's what got me started. I went to LSU. Again, as the Lord would have it, I met my girlfriend at age 19, and then we got engaged, and we've now been married for 55 years this year. And so I've really been, in my opinion, blessed with somebody that's been like an angel to me. And so that took care of a real big worry for me. And the other thing that happened was I really didn't know what career I wanted to go into. And I tried going into pre med at LSU, but I played cards and slept um, all day instead of going to class. And I wasn't honest with my teachers, so I didn't make good grades. As a result, pre med became out of the future for me. And I went into business courses for lack of anything else, other than I enlisted for Vietnam. I tried to enlist in 1968. I went to New Orleans and enlisted, and they turned me down because I was an asthmatic from birth. But anyway, so because of that, I was able to be serious with my fiance. We got married, and I went through a business curriculum at LSU, and I had a friend that was in the insurance business. After I graduated, I was in the computer business, but after 4 years, I wasn't real happy doing that. And my insurance friend talked to me. He wasn't a recruiter, but he just said he was very happy in his career. And so I got very attracted to that. And then as a result of entering the insurance business, I've had a blissful career doing that, which surprises me and I think a lot of my friends, but it's been a wonderful career. The life insurance business, that's my focus. And I feel very fortunate to have found a lady to be married to and a career and overall a happy life. Uh, where I had a rocky start, it has not been that rocky since I graduated from college.
So same thing, a lot to unpack. Number one, congratulations on coming up on 55 years. That's absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
Rare
Thank you very
as well.
much.
So um, I think that through literally, I mean, you put yourself through college.
Yes.
There's so many, there's so many kids that are about to graduate and they're wondering how in the world am I going to go to college? And you say, you know what? I'm going to go get a job. I'm going to go do what I got to do. You got an opportunity to work and you made it work. So I love hearing that part of the story, and then being able to meet your girlfriend turned into fiance, and then being able to commit to her as husband and wife. Such a big step, especially as a young man that has been through it.
Thank you. We're very devoted to each other.
Now, so it's a no-brainer, I guess, but the next question that I had for you was, can you tell us a person that has been a positive influence in your life, and how have they impacted you?
Yeah, I have two children. Well, first of all, I have to mention all three of them, my two children and my wife. And both children are, extremely loved by myself and my wife. My son is more positive, and this is not a criticism at all of my daughter, but my son is the most positive person that I've ever met. He reads books, he watches videos, he does whatever he can to be a positive, happy person. My wife, it's almost innate. She must have been born with it. Unlike me, she has not been depressed one day in her life. It's a special story. Everybody that knows her feels the same way. They can talk to her and say they just don't understand how she can be so happy and so positive, but she is. And so, because she's my spouse and because we're so close, she's the one. Other than the Lord, I'm very faithful, and I give all the credit to my Savior. But as far as a person, it would be my wife, and then next to her would be my two children.
That's awesome. I love that that's the order too.
Thank
Um,
you.
so, what motivates you and drives you in your work and your personal life? Like, what's that driver? What makes you fight so hard?
Well, again, I go back to the adversity I had as a youngster and then going through school. I think that because I didn't have a family life that I could hold on to and have a foundation, that friendships became extremely important to me. So all through my life, and in grammar school, junior high, even back as far as that, I treasured close friendships. I had really good friends. We would do anything for each other, with each other. That meant fish together, play sports together, help each other. If somebody was going to get in a fist fight, we were there for each other. So friendships became very important to me. In college, it was the same way. And then I played team sports in college. And then when I got out into the business world, when I found out that in the insurance business I could make friends and do business with my friends, unlike what some people would say, and that I don't want to do business with my friends, I took just the opposite approach. I said, these are the people I can have fun with, I can have recreation with, and I can love and treasure the relationships. So that became critically important to me, and that's a big reason why I got into the insurance business is that I could do that and do business with my friends and have it be beneficial for all of us, where it would be a win-win situation. And I think that that's all because of the background that I went through. That that was the my affinity for friendships has been a huge blessing in my life.
And I think life insurance is the exact perfect job, the perfect passion, and what a way to help people. Um, Most people, you would say, are underinsured, right?
Absolutely, most
Um,
people.
People don't realize how much uh, they could help their future generations. So I'm actually very excited to know that this is the backstory that led up. It's not just I thought insurance would make me some money. You didn't say that one time. You say, you know what? I wanted to build quality relationships. I wanted to work with my friends, grow with my friends and family, and also be able to help people. Like, it just doesn't get better than that if you think about it. Like, those are the goals.
Thank you.
That's a good life.
I thought about it a lot. I thought that if I pursued the dollar with too much vigor, that it was without question the wrong career for me. And I feel that way for anybody coming into the insurance business. It's a wonderful career, but if people get into it to get rich quick, in my opinion, it's the wrong career. For me, it was never that. Did I want to make a good living? Yes. Was I willing to work hard? Yes. By the way, going back to college in order to continue to be able to pay for my books and tuition, I was always happy that I was able to uh, have a mindset that said, well, you just have to work hard enough to get the job done. For me, it took 4 part-time jobs at the same time. I
Mm.
was a janitor. I threw the paper in the morning at 3 o'clock in the morning. I hate to get up early, but I did it. I was a janitor on the weekends at an office that would make most people, uh, revolt at the thought of cleaning up the office. I was a meter reader in the afternoon. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back about those jobs. I'm just saying I've always had the mindset of do whatever it takes to get the job done. I make no excuses for myself. If I ever say it, I didn't mean it, because I really believe that it's up to me to survive and to thrive.
I love that. If you could say anything to the guests and the viewers right now, if you were to give them advice, now this could be life, this could be health, this can be wealth. If you gave them one piece of advice to close our show out today, what would you tell them?
Well, Daniel, I appreciate that question, but I'll tell you, like I tell a lot of my prospects, when anybody asks me for advice, or even if they don't, I will say, and I mean this, I don't advise anyone. I don't advise my children. I don't advise my wife. Do I help them and try to counsel with them and maybe impart some education on them that I've had so that they can get the facts and make their own decision? That's what I like to do. I like to give people information, whether it's a personal situation or business, so that I can make suggestions to them for them to think about, trying to give them several sides to those suggestions, both the pros and the minuses, and maybe let them compare. And I'll help them in any way to get that information. But I am going to stay away from pure advice. Just being a little technical with the word choice there. My choice is to give them suggestions.
Absolutely love that. Absolutely. So, thank you very much for coming on Underdogs today. Thank you for sharing a little piece of your story. I'm excited because I want to know part two and part three. So, we got a lot of work to do. We have many more shows because I want to dig a little deeper. But thank you for your time today. And to our audience, remember that love wins, period.
It does. Thank you very much for listening to me.